Oh, MITAKUYE. Hello, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, my family. I'm going to be reading to you today. I have just finished this book, and today has been many things, we could say. I found out that my Uncle Bobby passed away last night from a heart attack. My condolences. However, here now, I'm interested in sharing with you a few very important parts from this book that I've read. And in my process of completing the book, there were two parts that made me feel like I have to share this with you. So please, Angela! Beautiful to see you. So we're reading from Being in Love by Osho, and my ego wants to say ignore his qualities and judgments of who he is or who we think he is. And let us enjoy these words. Give and take. In a relationship, one person goes on giving and the other goes on taking. Both suffer. Not only the giver, because the giver feels cheated, but the person who is the receiver is also suffering because he cannot grow unless he is allowed to give. He becomes a beggar and his self-image falls low. He needs to be strengthened and he needs to be given an opportunity where he can also give. Then he feels human. He feels confident. Not just sex. Be very watchful. Be loving. And if sometimes sex happens as part of love, then there is nothing to be worried about. But it shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be love. You love a person, you share his being, you share your being with him, you share the space. That is exactly what love is, to create a space between two separate persons. A space which belongs to neither or belongs to both. A small space between two persons where they both meet and mingle and merge. That space has nothing to do with physical space. It is simply spiritual. In that space, you are not you, and the other is not the other. You both come into that space and you meet. That is what love is. If it grows, then that common space becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then both partners are dissolved into it. So if sometimes you share space with somebody, a husband, a friend, or anybody, and sex happens as a spontaneous phenomenon, not something brooded upon, not something sought after, not something you were planning, then it is not sexual. There is a sort of sex which is not sexual at all. Sex can be beautiful, but sexuality can never be beautiful. By sexuality, I mean cerebral sex. Thinking about it, planning it, managing it, manipulating and doing many things. But the basic thing remains deep down in the mind that one is approaching a sex object. When you look at a person through the eyes of this kind of sexuality, you reduce the other to an object. The other is no longer a person, and the whole game is only of manipulation. You are going into land in bed sooner or later. It depends how much you play with the idea and how much both of you prolong the foreplay. But if in the mind the end is just sex, then it is the sexuality I am talking about. When the mind has nothing to do with sex, then it is pure, innocent sex. It is virgin sex. That sex can sometimes be even purer than celibacy. Because if a celibate continuously thinks of sex, then it is not celibacy. When a person moves in a deep love relationship with somebody, not thinking about sex, and it happens because you share so totally, that sex alone comes in, then it is okay and nothing to worry about. Don't create guilt about it. Stormy weather. In a single moment, a person can change completely. She was so happy and she can become so unhappy. Just a moment before, she was ready to die for you. Just a moment afterwards, she is ready to kill you. But this is how humanity is. It gives depth. It gives surprises. It gives salt. Otherwise, life would have been very tedious. It is all beautiful. These are all notes of a great harmony. And when you love a person, you love that harmony and you accept all that makes that harmony. Sometimes it is raining, and sometimes the sky is cloudy and dark, and sometimes it is full of sunlight and the clouds have disappeared. Sometimes it's very cold, sometimes it is very hot. In just the same way, the human climate goes on changing, everything goes on changing. When you love a person, you love all these possibilities. Infinite are the possibilities. And you love all the shades and nuances. So be true and help your partner also to be true. Then love becomes growth. Otherwise, love can become a poisonous thing. At least don't corrupt love. It is not corrupted by hatred. Remember, it is corrupted by falsity. It is not destroyed by anger. Never. But it is destroyed by an inauthentic persona, a false face. Love is possible only when there is freedom to be oneself without any guarding, without any reserve. One is simply flowing. What can you do? When you feel hateful, you are hateful. When the clouds are there and when the sun is shining, what can you do? And if the other understands and loves you, they will accept. They will help you to come out of the clouds because they know that this is just a climate and it comes and goes. These are just moods, passing phases, and behind these passing phases is the reality, the spirit of the person, the soul. And when you accept all of these phases, by and by, glimpses of the real soul start happening to you. Sweet sorrow. Aloneness has in it both sort of sadness, a sort of sorrow, and yet a very deep peace and silence. So it depends on you how you can look at it. When you are separated from your lover, look at it as a great opportunity to be alone. Then the vision changes. Look at it as an opportunity to have your own space. It becomes very difficult to have one's own space, and unless you have your own space, you will never become acquainted with your own being. You will never come to know who you are. Always engaged, always occupied in 1,001 things. In a relationship, in worldly affairs, anxieties, plans, future, past, one continuously lives on the surface. When one is alone, one can start settling, sinking in. Because you are not occupied, you will not feel the way you have always been feeling. It will be different, and that difference can feel strange. And certainly, when one is separated, one misses one's lovers, beloveds, friends, but this is not going to be forever. It is just a small discipline. And if you love yourself deeply and go down into yourself, you will be ready to love even more deeply because one who does not know oneself cannot love very deeply. If you live on the surface, your relationship cannot be of depths. It is your relationship, after all. If you have a depth, then your relationship will have a depth. So take this opportunity as a blessing and move into it. Enjoy it. If you become too sorrowful, the whole opportunity is wasted. And it is not against love. Remember, don't feel guilty. In fact, it is the very source of love. Love is not what is ordinarily known as love. It is not that. It is not a stew of sentimentality, emotions, feelings. It is something very deep, very foundational. It is a state of mind, and that state of mind is possible only when you penetrate your own being, when you start loving yourself. That is the meditation when one is alone. to love oneself so deeply that for the first time you become your own love object. So in these days when you are alone, be a narcissist. Love yourself, enjoy yourself. Delight in your body, in your mind, in your soul, and enjoy the space that is empty around you and fill it with love. The lover is not there. Fill it with love. Spread your love around your space, and your space will start becoming luminous. It will glow. And then for the first time, you will know when your lover comes close to you that now it is totally a different quality. In fact, you have something to give, share. Now you can share your space because you have your space. Ordinarily, people think that they are sharing, but they don't have anything to share. No poetry in their heart, no love. In fact, when they say they want to share, they don't want to give because they don't have anything to give. They are in search of getting something from the other, and the other is also in the same boat. He is searching to get something from you, and you are searching to get something from him. Both are, in a way, trying to rob the other of something. Hence the conflict between lovers, the tension, the continuous tension to dominate, to possess, to exploit, to make the other a means for your pleasure. Somehow, to use the other for your gratification. Of course, we hide in beautiful words. We say we want to share, but how can you share if you don't have? So enjoy this space, aloneness. Don't fill it with past memories, and don't fill it with future imagination and fantasy. Let it be as it is, pure, simple, silent. Delight in it. Sway, sing, dance, a sheer joy of being alone. And don't feel guilty. That too is a problem because lovers always feel guilty. If they are alone and they are happy, they feel a certain guilt. They think, how can you be happy when your lover is not with you? As if you are cheating the person. But if you are not happy when you are alone, how can you be happy when you are together? So it is not a question of cheating anybody. In the night when nobody is looking at the rose bush, it is preparing the rose. Deep down in the earth, the roots are preparing the rose. Nobody is looking there. If the rose bush thinks I will show my roses only when people are around, then it will not have anything to show. It will not have anything to share because whatever you can share has first to be created, and all creativity arises out of the depths of aloneness. So let this aloneness be a womb, and enjoy and delight in it. Don't feel that you are doing something wrong. It is a question of attitude and approach. Don't give it a wrong interpretation. It need not be sorrowful. It can be tremendously peaceful and blissful. It depends on you. The fire test of truth. No relationship can truly grow if you go on holding back. If you remain clever and go on safeguarding and protecting yourself, only personalities meet, and the essential centers remain alone. Then just your mask is related, not you. Whenever such a thing happens, there are 4 persons in the relationship, not 2. 2 false persons go on meeting, and the 2 real persons remain worlds apart. Risk is there. If you become true, nobody knows whether this relationship will be capable of understanding truth, authenticity, whether this relationship will be strong enough to stand the storm. There is risk, and because of it, people remain very guarded. They say things which should be said, they do things which should be done. Love becomes more or less like a duty. But then the reality remains hungry, and the essence is not fed. So the essence becomes more and more sad. The lies of the personality are a very heavy burden on the essence of the soul. The risk is real and there is no guarantee for it. But I will tell you that the risk is worth taking. At most, the relationship can break, at the most. But It is better to be separate and to be real rather than being unreal and together, because then it is never going to be satisfying. Benediction will never come out of it. You will remain hungry and thirsty, and you will go on dragging, just waiting for some miracle to happen. For the miracle to happen, you will have to do something, and that is to start being true. At the risk that maybe the relationship is not strong enough and may not be able to bear it. The truth may be too much, unbearable, but then that relationship is not worthwhile. So that test has to be passed. Once you are true, everything else becomes possible. If you are false, just a facade, a painted thing, a face, a mask, nothing is possible. Because with the false, only false happens. With the truth, truth. I understand your problem. That is the problem of all lovers. That deep down they are afraid. They go on wondering whether this relationship will be strong enough to bear truth. But how can you know beforehand? There is no priori knowledge. One has to move into it to know it. How are you to know, sitting inside your house, whether you will be able to withstand the storm and the wind outside? You have never been in the storm. Go and see. Trial and error is the only way. Go and see. Maybe you will be defeated, but even in that defeat, you will have become stronger than you are right now. If one experience defeats you, and another, by and by, the very going through the storm will make you stronger and stronger. A day comes when one simply starts delighting in the storm. One simply starts dancing in the storm. Then the storm is not the enemy. That too is an opportunity, a wild opportunity to be. Remember, being never happens comfortably. Otherwise, it would have happened to all. It cannot happen conveniently, otherwise, everybody would have their own authentic being without any problem. Being happens only when you take risk, when you move into danger, and love is the greatest danger there is. It demands you totally. So don't be afraid, go into it. If the relationship survives truth, it will be beautiful. If it dies, then too it is good. Because one false relationship has ended. And now you will be more capable of moving into another relationship. Truer, more solid, more concerning the essence. So I'm going to move on to the final chapter. And I felt like this entire final chapter was worth sharing. And it's called Only Love Remains. Only after you have moved in deep love and the ego has really been dropped. And there is something very valuable which can be gained only if you drop the ego. And that price has to be paid. When you have really loved deeply, then a new kind of integration will arise in you. Love does two things. First, it takes the ego away. Then it gives you the center. Love is a great alchemy. There are three kinds of love. I call them love 1, love 2, love 3. The first love is object-oriented. There is an object of love. You see a beautiful woman, really graceful, with a proportionate body. You are thrilled. You think you are falling in love. Love has arisen in you because the woman is beautiful, because the woman is nice, because the woman is good. Something from the object has stirred love in you. You are not really the master of it. The love is coming from the outside. You may be a very unloving person. You may not have that quality. You may not have that benediction, but because the woman is beautiful, you think love is arising in you. It is object-oriented. This is the ordinary love. This is what is known as eros. It is lust, how to possess this beautiful object, how to exploit this beautiful object, how to make it your own. But remember, if the woman is beautiful, she is not only beautiful for you, she is beautiful for many. So there will be many people falling in love with her. And there is going to be great jealousy, competition, and all kinds of ugliness that come into your love, into your so called love. The story is that Mullah Nasruddin married a very ugly woman, the ugliest possible. Naturally, the friends were puzzled and they asked Mullah, "You have money, you have prestige, you could have gotten any beautiful woman that you wanted. Why have you chosen this ugly woman?" He said, "There is a reason for it. I will never suffer from jealousy. This woman will always be faithful to me. I cannot believe anybody falling in love with her. In fact, even I am not in love with her. It is impossible. So I know nobody can love her." With Orthodox Mohammedans, it is tradition that a wife has to remain behind a purdah, behind a veil. She cannot show her face to everybody. And the new wife has to ask the husband, "To whom can I show my face, and to whom am I not allowed to show my face?" So when the woman asked Nasruddin, "To whom can I show my face, and to whom am I not allowed to show it?" he said, "You can show it to everybody except me." If you are falling in love with a beautiful woman or a beautiful man, you are getting into trouble. There is going to be jealousy, there is going to be murder, there is going to be something. You are in trouble. And from the very beginning, you will start trying to possess the person so that there is no possibility of anything going wrong or beyond your controls. So you will start destroying the woman or the man. You will stop giving freedom. You will encroach on the person from all sides and try to close all doors. Now, the woman was beautiful because she was free. Freedom is such an ingredient in beauty that when you see a bird on the wing in the sky, it is one kind of bird. But if you see the same bird in a cage, it is no longer the same. The bird on the wing in the sky has a beauty of its own. It is alive, it is free. The whole sky is his. The same bird in a cage is ugly. The freedom is gone, the sky is gone. Those wings are just meaningless now, a kind of burden. They remain from past and they create misery. Now, this is not the same bird. When you fell in love with the woman, she was free. You fell in love with freedom. When you bring her home, you destroy all possibilities of being free. But in that very destruction, you're destroying the beauty. Then one day, suddenly, you find that you don't love the woman at all because she is beautiful no more. This happens every time. Then you start searching for another woman and you don't see what happened. You don't look at the mechanism, at how you destroyed the beauty of the woman. This is the first kind of love, love one. Beware of it. It is not of much value. It is not very significant. And if you are not aware, you will remain trapped in love one. Love two is the object is not important. Your subjectivity is. You are loving, so you bestow your love on somebody. But love is your quality, not object oriented. The subject is overflowing with the quality of love. The very being is loving. Even if you are alone, you are loving. Love is a kind of flavor to your being. When you fall in love, the second kind of love, there is going to be greater joy than the first. And you will know because this love will know how to keep the other free. Love means to give all that is beautiful to the beloved. Freedom is the most beautiful, the most cherished goal of human consciousness. How can you take it away? If you love a woman, really, or a man, the first present, the first gift will be the gift of freedom. How can you take it away? You are not the enemy, you are the friend. This second kind of love will not be against freedom, it will not be possessive. And you will not be worried very much that somebody else also appreciates your woman or your man. In fact, you will be happy that you have a woman whom others also appreciate, that you have chosen a woman whom others also desire. Their desire simply proves that you have chosen a diamond, a valuable being who has intrinsic value. You will not be jealous. Each time you see someone looking at your woman with loving eyes, you will be thrilled again. You will fall in love with your woman again through those eyes. This second kind of love will be more of a friendship than a lust, and it will be more enriching to your soul. And this second kind of love will have one more difference. In the first kind of love, the object oriented, there will be many lovers surrounding the object, and there will be fear. In the second kind of love, there will be no fear, and you will be free to bestow your love not only on your beloved, you will be free to bestow your love on others too. In the first, the object will be one, and many will be the lovers. In the second, the subject will be one, and it will be flowing in many directions, bestowing its love in many ways on many people, because the more you love, the more love grows. If you love one person, then naturally your love is not very rich. If you love two, it is doubly rich. If you love many, or if you can love the whole of humanity, or you can love even the animal kingdom, or you can love even the trees, the vegetable kingdom, then your love goes on growing. And as your love grows, you expand. This is real expansion of consciousness. Drugs only give you a false idea of expansion. Love is the basic, ultimate drug that gives you the real idea of expansion. And there is a possibility. Albert Schweitzer has talked about reverence for life. All that lives is to be loved. Mahavira in India has said the same thing. His philosophy of ahimsa, nonviolence, says to love all that lives. And there is the possibility to take even one step further than Mahavira and Schweitzer. One can have reverence for things too. That is the ultimate in love. You don't only love that which lives, you love even that which simply exists. You love the chair, the shoes, the door which you enter your house, the plates on which your food is served. You love things too because they also have a kind of being. When one has come to this point that you love the whole of existence, irrespective of what it is, that love becomes unconditional. It is turning into prayerfulness. It is becoming a meditation. The first love is good in the sense that if you have lived a loveless life, it is better than no love. But the second love is far better than the first and will have less anxiety, less anguish, less turmoil, conflict, aggression, violence. The second kind of love will be more of a love than the first kind. It will be more pure. In the first, the lust is too great and it spoils the whole game. But even the second love is not the last. There is love 3, when subject and object disappear. In the first type of love, the object is important. In the second, the subject is important. In the third, there is transcendence. One is neither subject nor an object, and one is not dividing reality in any way. Subject, object, knower, known, lover, loved, all division has disappeared. One is simply love. Up through the second type of love, you are a lover. When you are a lover, something will hang around you like a boundary, like a definition. With the third, all definition disappears. There is only love. You are not. This is what Jesus means when he says God is love, love 3. If you misunderstand the first, you will never be able to interpret rightly what Jesus' meaning is. It is not even the second, it is the third. God is love. One is simply love. It is not that one loves, it is not an act, it is one's very quality. It is not that in the morning you are loving and in the afternoon you are not loving. You are love, it is your state. You have arrived home. You have become love. Now there is no division. All duality has disappeared. The first kind of love is I, it. The other is taken as a thing. That's what Martin Buber calls it. I, it. The other is like a thing that you have to possess. My wife, my husband, my child. And in that very possession, you kill the spirit of the other. The second kind of love Martin Buber calls I, thou. The other is a person. You have respect for the other. How can you possess somebody you respect? But Martin Buber does stop at the second. He has no understanding about the third. He goes up to I, thou, and then it is a great step from I, it to I, thou, but it is nothing compared to the step that happens from I, thou to non-dualism to oneness where only love remains. Even I, thou is a bit of tension creating phenomenon. You and the beloved are separate still, and all separation brings misery. Unless one becomes totally one with the beloved, with the loved one, some kind of misery is bound to remain lurking by the side. In the first, the misery is very clear. In the second, the misery is not so clear. In the first, it is very close. In the second, it is not so close. It is far away, but it is there. In the third, it is no more. So I would like you to learn more of love, more from the first to the second, and to keep it in your consciousness that it is the third is the goal. With the second kind of love, it is a question of being. You love. You love as many people as are available. And you love in different ways. Somebody you love as your wife, somebody you love as your friend, somebody you love as your daughter, somebody you love as your sister, somebody you love as your mother. And it is possible also that you can share one kind of love with many people. So first attain the second kind of love. And with the third kind of love, you are simply love. Then you can go on loving. There is no end to it. If you have enjoyed this, I will encourage you to check out this book. I can remember my first time when I am at the ashram and the home of Amrit Desai, and I'm sitting in his office and I am noticing this book on his shelf. And I am knowing right away, what is this? I don't know who this is. At the time, I had no idea who Osho is. And I just was so drawn to the book, and I am blessed to have had the book, and I have just finished it, and it really took me away, and it made me really happy, and it really makes us mindfully look at ourselves, consciously being aware of what are we seeking to get from the other, and what are our needs, what do we need right now. And that's been a process of self-discovery and illuminating those stormy areas inside of ourselves. I'm going to peek here at the comments. Thank you. Thank you. Jai Bhagwan. Thank you. I have more to share. However, I'm going to close this area. This is dedicated to being in love. So I love you. Take care. Be well. Peace be upon you and with your spirit. Aho. Ho'oponopono. Shanti.